Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to Sobriety University. Today, we're going to be talking about what really makes cravings finally go away. I've worked with a handful of people now, and I've seen a pattern of some people are able to really get through the cravings very quickly, and it's not even like an issue. Other people take a really long time, potentially months, years, and they're just not able to beat that urge to want to smoke weed. And there's a few things that I've identified that separates the people that are able to get rid of the cravings fast versus the ones that kind of it seems to linger for more than they would like. So we're going to be going over this today. So by the end, if you're doing any of these things that keep people stuck in their marijuana use, you'll be able to identify them and hopefully tackle them at the source so you can start, not craving weed so much because it's exhausting and we want to be moving on with our lives. So the first thing is not having a purpose. Right? Now, there is a purpose in quitting weed, right? That is, there's a goal, there's a mission, there's nothing wrong with that at all. But it's not a fun purpose. And when I say purpose, I mean something that's going to allow you to get up every day, that's going to give you the motivation to want to put all your effort and your work and your heart into a project or a thing or whatever it might be, right? And what I find is a lot of people, their purpose is to quit weed, and one, so that's not very fun, and two, they don't have that big life purpose, that big reason why. For me, my purpose was to make music. I originally started getting into dance music when I was starting to smoke weed in college, and I freaking loved it. I wanted to DJ, and so I learned how to DJ. And I thought I was going to be the stoner DJ that gets to smoke weed all day, make millions of dollars, and travel the world. Lo and behold, that wasn't the case because making music is difficult. If you've ever made or produced music, it takes a lot of work. I've been producing for about 11 years now, and I just had my first track signed to a label. So you guys can check that out. I'll put the link below in the description. And you can also check it out on my Instagram. So Joel Lee Henry. Definitely go there, take a look. It's a pretty sick song, and I did it with my buddy Santiago. We released on a Korean label, actually. But point aside, that was my main goal, and that's what actually motivated me to quit weed because I had gotten into some trouble with dealing, and I just kind of realized like I'm not going to be able to make music and pursue this dream if I'm in jail or if I'm dead. And that really fired me up to be like, hey, I'm going to do whatever it takes to stay off weed and really focus on music. So because of the music, I really had a purpose. I was able to lock in every single day and train and like study videos. If I would have known that it would have taken as long as it did, I might not have done it, to be fully transparent with you guys. But naivety can win sometimes. So I had that dream and I went full send with it. And because of that, I was able to get to where I am today and stay off weed. And the cravings for me, point of the video, really went away very quickly. I remember I kept a little bit of weed in case like I wanted to smoke like a month later. And I just remember being like a weekend and like no cravings, 2 weeks, no cravings, 3 weeks, no cravings. And finally like a month went by and I had some buddies over that I used to smoke with. I was like, do you guys want this? Like, I don't really want to smoke anymore. And that was a big turning point for me when I realized like, hey, I've turned a new page here. I've turned a new leaf to say. And so that was my purpose. So the question for you guys is then what is something that you can dedicate yourself to? Maybe your life to, maybe it's business. Maybe it's an athletic thing. Maybe some of you are ex-athletes and you want to get back into sports and training. I know the gym is a big sanctuary for a lot of people for sure. I go to the gym probably 4 or 5 days a week. I took a little break this week, but today we're going to do legs. We're going to do some shoulders. So it's going to be a great workout. What else could there be? There could be, maybe you want to make some money. Maybe you want to work on relationships. We have a dating channel as well where I help people learn how to cold approach and, guys specifically, and start to meet women. So maybe you want to be clear-headed so you can focus on that. One of the guys I'm working with now, he is really focusing on his dating. And because of that, he's like, dude, there's no way I'm going to smoke weed because I have this. And then he's also working on his business and crushing it. And so he's like, yeah, dude, like, I just don't need weed. It's like, it would be stupid to go back. And it's having that realization that weed is kind of stupid to do. And it's going to hold you back from your dreams and your visions and everything that you want in life. Unless you want to be like a weed YouTuber. But unless you want to do that, like smoking weed is not going to be beneficial for that, for your goals. No professional successful person wants to do business with somebody that's a stoner. Like, it's just Yeah, no thanks. Maybe people can hide it for a while, but eventually that stuff's going to come out. So be very mindful of that, guys. Now, the next piece of why people are not able to kick the cravings is because they're not really focusing on their health. They're not doing everything they can outside of quitting weed to potentially give themselves the opportunity to reduce the cravings. What do I mean by this? I mean taking care of yourself, exercising, going to the gym, making sure you're finding ways to get natural highs, starting to be social, right? Being social is a great like form of endorphin rush and dopamine and all that stuff. So we want to be working on getting that physical release as well, in terms of other ways. Like, hey, let's be honest, guys. We want to get high. We're stoners, so it's okay. It's okay to want to get high on life, and that's why we're trying to quit weed in the first place. But we got to find healthy outlets that are going to give us that relief from the weed. So something I subscribe to or prescribe to the people I coach is going to the sauna. The sauna is a great thing to do also it's going to help you like look better, right? You sweat, you get rid of some of the salt that you're holding. Working with like basketball, so that's really going to, when you do something healthy and productive for yourself, you start the majority of them, right? The last thing I would say, and that I prescribe for people, is to go for walks. Walks are really good, getting out in nature, especially, right? I used to do this every single day in my first year of sobriety. I would go to this, it's an arboretum. It's actually where I got in trouble with weed, so it was like kind of poetic. And I would go there, and it would just be like, it would be very peaceful, very calm. And I would leave my phone in the car, and it would just be me and nature, and I could just be with my thoughts, right? And things would come up, memories would come up. I'd cry a lot sometimes because I'd have these memories resurface from the past. So it was very healing too. And I just remember, like I said before, because I had this purpose to make music, I wasn't craving it. I would always feel better. I would always feel like peaceful after I left, and I would just feel calm and like, um, that I can move forward and achieve more things during the day. That's a really big one, guys, and will really help you. Some people just go for a couple block walk, and that's enough to kind of shake their head and get their endorphins going a little bit, get their blood flowing to be like, yeah, I'm okay. I can make it through the next day. Yeah. So the final piece of why people that don't quit or aren't able to stay sober, is they don't face their self. And what do I mean by this? So they aren't doing much introspection. They aren't really trying to figure out who they are. Right? They're not going inwards. The people that I've seen that have been very successful, like Derek, he's been on this channel. He do a lot of journaling, right? So he was always like kind of writing out his thoughts, his trying to figure himself out, why he thinks and behaves and acts the way he does. And I did that too for sure. I had to be like, okay, why did all the things that in my life suck? Why did they suck? I was the contributing factor. I took responsibility for myself, and that's a key piece too, guys. You got to start to take responsibility for your life. You can't just blame it on the weed anymore. It has to be like, okay, I'm gonna really figure out what makes me me, what are the reasons, my character defects, as we call them, what are the things that have hindered me from being the best version of myself, and how can I actually start to rewire those, to so to say. The people that I don't see do that I don't see do this, excuse me, that focus too much on, the external stuff like making money or business or, girls or relationships or whatever it might be, but that never go inwards, they usually relapse because they haven't figured out, the core issue of why they've had problems in the past. And that core issue is themselves. And not to say that we're issues, like don't take that like, oh my God, I'm just a problem, I might as well just smoke weed. No, don't try not to twist those words. What I mean is that we are the responsibility for everything that's happened in our lives. Maybe some things were out of our control, but we always got to control how we reacted. Um, and I'll say like, I was diddled as a kid, for example, at a daycare. Right? That's not my fault. I was like 3 years old, 2 years old. I just take responsibility though that like I gotta have forgiveness. I gotta figure out that pain. I gotta let myself feel that and heal that. Right. I went to a lot of therapy. I started getting into therapy, which was really helpful. There wasn't any marijuana coaches at the time. Otherwise, I probably would have signed on for one of them. Asked my parents for some help and because they were paying for my therapy. But I wasn't. I really went inwards and I really went, I'm going to discover who Joel is so I can be okay being myself. And this is a journey, guys. So this isn't something that's going to happen, in a week. It's not going to happen in a month. It's going to be a lifelong journey. I'm still figuring things out about myself. I'm still having healing times and journeys and stuff. Recently, I've had one come up about like financial stuff and like why I've had the relationship I do with money. Right. And that one's been really powerful because I'm starting to break that habit and see that money isn't everything, but yet I have the ability to be very successful in this world. Right. And that's a huge breakthrough for me. But if I would have given up, okay, I quit weed, I don't have to do any self-development, dude, I wouldn't have figured that out. I'd probably still be really struggling with things on that front. And so, guys, I would really suggest, going inwards, figuring out who you are as a person. And how is this going to help the cravings? Well, it becomes almost in a way like addictive to figure out who you are, if that makes sense. Like, how am I going to try to word this here? The feeling you get after a big insight and a revelation about yourself, there's no better feeling because you're just like, oh my God, I've just figured out this thing I've been struggling with for freaking 25 years. Like, this is incredible. Right. And you get to do that when you start going inwards and looking at yourself and understanding like how you tick and how you operate. And then at the same time, you start to build a deeper, healthier relationship with yourself where it's like, okay, like I am me. This is who I am. I don't want to let myself down anymore. I don't want to keep hurting myself. That was a big revelation for me. I didn't want to keep hurting myself and causing myself harm in my life and sabotaging myself and I still would because I still have those patterns. But because I was so focused on being the happiest and best version I could be, I was like, weed just doesn't even play a part. Like there's 0% chance I'm going to smoke weed. Like that would be retarded. And I was like, I'm on this path to be happy and successful. I'm not going to sabotage that by picking up a joint. That would be just, idiotic. And so you start to have that mindset shift of like, I'm putting myself first. I'm taking care of myself. I'm going inwards and finding out who I am. So there's no place for anything that's going to disrupt that. Right. And then you get to as well find healthier ways that when like stress comes up, how do you deal with that stress, right? Going for walks, exercise, hitting the sauna, like I said. Going into the last point here, relationships, right? But I just do want to tie up this point by saying that you have so much in you that you haven't discovered yet. And the sooner you can start to go on that journey, the sooner weed will just become like a weird foreign memory, right? Like there'll just be no place in your mind or in your heart or in your future for weed. So definitely the sooner you can go inwards and start looking at all those insecurities, all those things that, maybe you didn't like about myself. There was moments where I'd have memories about like things I did in the past, ways I acted, and I would just be like, oh my God, I can't believe I did that. Right? So a lot of cringe moments, but I was always afraid to face those cringe moments, and weed made me forget about those. So once I started to face like the ways I humiliated myself or embarrassed myself, I started to find a lot of peace in who I was and forgive myself for a lot of things. The fourth and final tip here, guys, and the reason why people don't, get rid of their cravings and stay hooked to weed for years and years, is because they try to do it alone. Now, like I said in the last point, there is going to be periods where you need to be in solitude. You need to figure out who you are. There's going to be periods where you don't want to be around people, and that's okay. A lot of us are introverts. I'm definitely more introverted. I've just learned to be social and learn how to talk like on camera. But even I'm talking on camera, I'm still just me in this room, so I don't feel that pressure of anybody watching. Um, and then even when I hang out with friends, like afterwards, I just want to be alone. Like, thanks guys, love you, but no more hanging out. So I had to discover that about myself, like I said in the third point. At this point, wow, I'm losing my train of thought. Okay, what is this point? The point is that you have to have a relationship. Okay, so what I see a lot of people that have relapse is they start to become a little bit hermitized. They become a little bit of a recluse. They don't push themselves socially to go meet people, to go challenge their social muscle. They don't work on maybe dating or any kind of intimate relationships on that front. And I would say don't try rushing into a relationship if you're brand new to it. Unless you've tried a few times, like one of the clients I'm working with, he's also working on his dating, but he's been through the ringer a few times. So this isn't like his first time quitting weed. But really kind of getting some human interaction on a regular basis is going to be super important, guys. We're humans. Like that's what we're meant to do. We're meant to connect with people. And when people don't do that and don't go and don't reach out to other people, they start to become lonely and they start to get depressed and feel like, is this all that life's worth for? Like they don't get any highs besides maybe like binge watching TV or something, but that wears off pretty quick. Or they turn to alcohol or other substances, right? So humans, it's okay to get a natural high from hanging out with some buddies, right? Now, the key here, guys, is the buddies you hang out with, you want to create sober connections, or at least, maybe people go out and drink once in a while and you don't have to participate in that. But they can't be stoners. They can't be other people that are smoking weed. That's just going to be a one-track ticket back to smoking. I've worked with this guy before who he would get really sober and then he would start hanging out with his buddies and he'd relapse. And then he went the other way where he just didn't hang out with anyone. He would get lonely. So he relapsed on that front. So you have to have people that are going to be able to support you. For me, what I did was I went to these recovery meetings, these anonymous meetings, like I talked about in the last video. I can't say them by name, but just look up, Google anonymous and marijuana, and then guarantee you'll find what I'm talking about. But I was able to start meeting other people who were, one, a lot more sober than me, so I could kind of learn from them, have them guide me, mentor me, show me the way, and then also have hope that I could actually do this and it was possible. And I would meet people that were in my similar situation where I could feel connected, like, hey, we're both going through this together. We're both trying to quit weed. I'm not alone in this journey I'm not the only one in the world trying to quit weed. And then once I got some sober time, I was able to help other people who were trying to get sober. And that gave me a lot of faith too. And it was like, of course I didn't want to relapse then because I was actually being of service to other people and being a leader and being an example. And how bad would that be? And how bad would that hurt them if they just saw their person that they're looking up to just start to go back and relapse? They'd be like, well, I thought Joel was crushing it. Maybe I can just relapse too, right? So I had a responsibility at that point to stay sober. So these groups are going to be fantastic. I met a huge, great community. I would go to meetings a couple times a week, and that would kind of scratch my social itch and make me feel that, I'm doing the right thing. I'm in the right spot. And then also these meetings had like some steps you could go through that you could, that really helped me heal and really helped me start to take responsibility for my life on even a deeper level. I thought of a last point here, and this I wanted to share with you guys, and that's going to be being of service. This is something that I got into and my first mentor really pushed me to do, is to start volunteering, whether it would be I remember I volunteered at a botanical garden for 3 hours a week. I would do these kids classes and help them learn about freaking butterflies and plants and stuff like that. I would help out at the meetings. I would come early. I would set up. I would open the meeting. I would get everything arranged. I would greet people, whatever it would be. But this really helped me start to get out of my own head and stop being so selfish, because we can really be selfish people when we're in addiction, right? And this is something that I'm actually going to probably work on and encourage people that I coach to really get into, is to pick up a service position, because it feels really good, guys, to do something that you don't get paid for, that you don't get recognition for that you're just doing out of just to give your time. And it'll start to rewire your brain that like life isn't all about me, and that also I have a lot to give to this world. I realized that I'm actually like, people would thank me and people would say I appreciate you, and it would feel really good to know that I was being of service in my community and to helping other people out. So I'll do another one on that, like the importance of service, because I think that could be a whole video in itself. But if you are in a position where you're relapsing and stuff like that, and you haven't been able to figure it out, rewatch this video, because I think this video is going to be able to really help you start to put some of the pieces together and help you figure out why things haven't been working out and why you keep slipping back and having these cravings. I guarantee if you start putting these things together, the cravings will go away. They absolutely will. And then as well, I'm here to maybe help you and give you some accountability, and also create a plan for you. Maybe you just don't know what I want to do with my life. Maybe you don't know how to meet people. Maybe you just need a little push to get in the gym or whatever it might be, right? That's what I've helped people do, and I'm here to help you as well. I want to help be able to get you to that spot where you feel like you can wake up every day, jump out of bed and get going. Maybe some days are going to be hard for sure. Some days you're not going to want to keep going, but the days you do, it'll be all worth it, and it'll make you keep going to get back to those good days. And I want to help you get there and help you figure out that plan for yourself to be able to finally put down weed for good. Most of the people I coach, we don't even talk about weed after like the first, intro session, because we're just working on these other things: business, relationships, dating, figuring out who you are, figuring out your own patterns, all these things I talked about in this video. And so I definitely encourage you guys to schedule a consult with me down below. $20, we'll hop on a call. And this is just for me to make sure because people don't show up. So I just got to have something to, hold people accountable for, and then not waste my time either. But I can tell you, I've gotten the privilege to help a lot of people, and I want to help you to figure out that next stage of your journey. And so you can look back one day and be like, why did I ever smoke weed? Like, that was crazy, right? So I appreciate you guys coming to this video. I'm so happy and feel so fulfilled to be making these videos again. And I will talk to you in the next one. Feel free to reach out at my Instagram, sobriety_university_, or at Joel B. Henry. And we'll talk to you guys soon. Peace.